I'm going to show you how to use my Siegs Procreate brushes in Procreate. So we open up Procreate. At the bottom here, we see all of our canvases. We see all of our artboards. I'm going to go into my stack where I keep my mockups. Click the plus in the top right. I like to do 3000 by 3000 pixels. Go up to the wrench, add, insert a file. We're going to go with this file. Fit it a little bit better. I'm going to show you guys how to use the brushes on my Siegs Vector mockups, but I'm also going to have a video file, a separate video file that shows how to make a mockup like this from scratch within Procreate. So 2 tap fingers to undo, 3 tap fingers to redo. So we're going to go over fabrics, washes, textures, graphic grunge, rhinestones, distressing, stitches, and zippers. Even if you only purchase just the fabrics, or just the rhinestones, or just the textures, you're going to get the instructions for all of these so you can see how they all work together. So fabric, whenever we're adding something to our mockup, we must create a new layer. This is the mockup layer. Let's rename this. This will be the fabric layer. This is a hoodie, presumably cotton. I'm going to scroll down my fabric brush set to C for cotton. I like cotton 16. Make our brush black, and we can draw. It makes my garment a bit dark, but it also goes out of the parameters of the mockup. So to fix that, we go to layer, click on fabric, and click clipping mask. You'll see this little down arrow right here on the left side of the thumbnail. Now whatever we draw will stay within that layer's parameters. Still a bit too dark. Go to fabric, click the N for the blending mode, and we're going to go to soft light. It's a bit lighter, but still pretty dark. Let's highlight our main layer, go to the color picker, and do like a gray. Click and hold and drag. It's a bit lighter. Maybe we can lighten it up a little bit more. So you can see that the torso is gray, but the hood and the waistband are dark. The threshold is too weak. So what does that mean? Drag and drop, hold the gray, look at the blue line on top. When I drag my pen across the screen, that's the threshold. How much am I changing? But those colors aren't even matching to begin with. So that means right here, the threshold was too low. So drag this gray in, and now we can adjust the threshold like that. Okay. And we can see our cotton texture, just like that. Maybe I'll make this a little bit darker. Perfect. Okay, that's kind of cool. And that is how to use the fabric brushes. You can do any fabric brush you want. Just be aware of making a new layer, doing a clipping mask, and adding soft light. So now we're going to do shadows and highlights. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this a bit brighter. Okay, a bit more brighter. Yeah, okay. So shadows and highlights. Put fabric back right there. We'll do shadow and highlight. Shadows are dark. Let's do black color. I like to set my opacity for shadows at 30%. My opacity for both of them at 30%. Leave it blending on normal. Go back to shadow. It's a really big brush. I'm gonna decrease it a little bit. Actually, let's make the shadow a little bit harsher since this is a black color. So we're just gonna trace around the whole edge. You know what? It's gonna be so much easier. Let's just make this a blue color. Yeah, okay. Go back to shadow, make my color black again. All right. So we're just gonna trace around the whole perimeter of this mockup. You do not need to be precise and clean here. You can be as messy as you want. Just trace around wherever you think a shadow would be, or if you're not really an artist and don't know where shadows and highlights would be, just trace around any solid edge. it's honestly good enough. I'll just add a bit more depth to your mockup. Looks pretty janky, looks pretty harsh. Go up here, go to Gaussian blur, and tap the screen with your finger or your pen. Just drag it. You can see if I do it fast, you see the difference. It adds blur. So maybe like here is good, right there. Now let's do highlights. Now I did trace around that manually. You could also go up to the wrench, click canvas, click drawing guide, edit drawing guide, click symmetry. It already added assisted to the layer, but I'll just turn it off and show you again. Click drawing assist. So now whatever you draw on one side is mimicked on the other. Let's make this a bit smaller. And now you can just add lines. So think about when you're standing, so think about where light would be hitting you. Let's say you're standing outside in the middle of the day. You know, you're gonna have light coming from the top. Maybe some like right here, top of the shoulder arm area. Maybe it continues all the way down. Maybe a little bit on the inside of here, maybe some here. Maybe some's hitting the top wrinkling bit of your waistband. Maybe it's wrinkling right here. And whatever, let's just add some dots like that. Looks super messy, but we go up to the wand. Not gradient map, we're not doing that. That made it red for some reason. Gaussian blur, click and drag and blur it up. Okay, I don't like that shape, the shape that was here. I didn't like that. I'm gonna go all the way back and remove these chest shapes and just leave it like that. And then a little bit right there. Gaussian blur. Maybe something like that. And that's it for shadows and highlights. Just be mindful of the clipping mask. You don't need the drawing assist, but the clipping mask is on and the opacity is turned down a bit. And you can adjust this after you blur as well. Now we're going to do washes. So we shall make a new layer. Rename it wash. Let's do like a vintage, let's do like a mineral wash. So this looks pretty harsh. You can see it does that mineral wash kind of shape. I'm gonna turn the opacity down a bunch, turn the clipping mask on. You could also do opacity here as well. So I'm gonna keep the opacity way lower. And instead of just like drawing hard across the whole thing, I'm just gonna do little swipes. Maybe you can hear the tapping in the microphone. Just little swipes like that, gradually throughout. Maybe I wanna layer that with this lighter wash, where it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but if I hold and I keep swiping, you can see the left side gets very light. And if I undo this, I did a lot. So I'm gonna do little swipes on the sleeves, a little bit underneath the hood area, and maybe just draw recklessly on the torso a little bit. So if I undo all this, you can see it just gets darker. So I did add some highlights, some wash, some bright wash, a little bit. And that's essentially just adding wash. Just be mindful of the opacity, clipping mask, and the color. You can even do opacity over here on the side. You know, maybe you want to add some paint splatters of like yellow color. Just tap. You could draw, but then it's like a lot. But just tap. Maybe you want to add some reds to it too. Just tap. Little paint. A little bit of paint. The red is kind of really transparent, so you can just add that to a new layer with clipping mask. And now it's a bit brighter, and then you can just pinch the layers together. And now it's one layer. And that's more or less how to do the wash stuff. So now we're gonna do textures. So textures can be dirty, oily, scratches, cracks, anything just to add a bit more wear and tear to your garment. So we're gonna make a new layer again. Do texture. Let's do this one. So if I just start drawing it, you can see all the cracks and scratches and messiness of it all. Clipping mask, you know the drill. Let's turn opacity down a little bit. And I'm just swiping like I did last time from the bottom area only, maybe a little bit at the top. But, you know, I see them. It is pretty bright. So I can mess with the opacity, or I can even go down to soft light as well. And that can give it a lot more not as prevalent kind of look. Looks pretty messy so far. You can also do this kind of dirt. Doesn't seem like much, but I'm drawing on the left sleeve, and if I undo, it's not that dark, so I can make a new layer, make sure the opacity is up. Yeah, now that's really dark. I'll add to the bottom of the sleeve over here. Bottom there. You can see it outside. I didn't do a clipping mask. It goes away. Let's add some more to the bottom of the hoodie. Really darken it, really fuck it up. Sure, that looks nice. And that's texture. Clipping mask, opacity, blending mode, draw however you want. So next is graphic grunge. Can't really do this very well with the imported vector mockup because it's all baked in. So I do recommend importing a separate graphic if you want to do it like this, if the graphic doesn't already have cracks in it, if you made it in Illustrator or any other software. So I'll take this blue, this dark blue like sheep crest, and it is down here, but it's not a part of the fabric, so we'll add it up there. See how it was like a part of the blending? Yeah, so we'll add it there. Make another layer, make this a clipping mask, and this can be graphic grunge. Let's do this one. And this should not be a clipping mask. The one above it is a clipping mask. There we go. So now when I draw the cracks, you can see it adds cracks on it. Maybe I want to add a double layer of cracks, make it super messy. And then you can pinch them together, and now you have a little badge. That could be a patch or something on top. Or it's just the printed graphic. So there's one way you can do this. Highlight your mockup layer, go to the S at the top, and then trace your shape. Do this cleaner than I am right now. I'm just doing it really quickly. Wrench, copy, paste, and then now you have just that cutout and it makes a new layer for you. So grab it, move it to the top, add a new layer, make that a clipping mask, go to the grunge graphics, color black, okay. And now we can distress or crack or give grunge to that graphic there. And that's graphic grunge. So now we're going to do rhinestones. These are stamps. Let's do white. Okay. Make a new layer. So we made a new layer. You stamp it. That is a pretty big rhinestone. Let's decrease the size a bit, a little bit bigger. And you can just stamp these around. You could drag and hold. The spacing is just very wide, so it is a stamp. But if you want to, let's say you want to draw a whole line of rhinestones across a seam or the hood or something, maybe you want them closer to each other, go to your brush, click the brush, go to stroke path, and just make a little example thing there, and then reduce the spacing to like however you want. I'll do mine like right there. It doesn't apply it to what you already drew, but you can see it's a lot closer to each other now. So I can undo that whole line and then just follow it as best as I can. I messed up. So I messed up over here. If you mess up, you can redraw it, or you go to the select, go to warp, and then now you can do your best to try to manually move these around. It is in the same layer where I put the other rhinestones, so you see it's moving all the rhinestones. So if you want to adjust a singular thing, you can make a new layer. Trace it as best you can. You could do this better than I can. And then warp, and then just try to manipulate it. And if you want to add it to your rhinestone layer, just pinch and they combine. Just like that. You can also add the drawing assist. If you go to the canvas, the drawing guide's still on symmetry. That's what this little center line right here is for. So now if I draw over here, it'll show the other side. So maybe I want to add some rhinestones to the wrist area. So drew that over there. It doesn't look good over here. I guess these sleeves are not as symmetrical as I thought. So we can go back to the layer, turn off the drawing assist, get the eraser, get rid of that, and then just manually draw it over here too. And you can hold. So if you don't let go of the pen and hold it, it now becomes a line. And you can have perfect straight lines just like that. And that's more or less how to do rhinestones. I've also included this little rhinestone twinkle, so you can just tap it on your rhinestones and make a few of them look, if I can draw right, a few of them look pretty and shiny, just like that. So now we have denim distressing, a bunch of different rips and frays. Let's do this guy. We'll put him like here. So it's another stamp. You can like hold it. We'll keep drawing it. But it's our stamp. So this one, actually, let's do a new layer again. I always forget to do that. So this one is composed of a few layers. We have the top white layer. We're going to duplicate it, click the bottom layer, tap it again, select, and then make it black. So the bottom layer is black right there. Duplicate the black layer again, take the bottom one and make that a Gaussian blur, a gradual blur just to give it a little bit of shadow underneath it. And then duplicate the top black one again, click and hold, and then move it above the white, and then turn the opacity very low, and then offset it a little bit, top left, take the bottom black one, offset that a little bit, bottom right, and that's essentially how to make a rip. It's just layering the black and the whites and adding some shadows and offsetting them, and then you can pinch them all together, and now you have your finished rip right there. So I'll do another one. Do a new brush. Or a new layer. Let's do this guy. Stamp. Maybe make him a little bit smaller. Duplicate. Make the bottom layer black. Offset a little bit. Duplicate again. Blur this layer. A little bit of shadow. Duplicate that top black layer again. Move it above it if it wants to go up there. Turn opacity very low. And then you can offset that some more. That's how to do rip. If you want to mess with the lighting, if you want to mess with the brightness as well, you can go to curves, You can mess with it there, maybe like a little darker. And you can also mess with the blending mode as well. I think hard light looks pretty good. Hard light. And that's it for the rips. So now we're gonna do stitches. So we'll make a new layer. We can do stitches. We'll do white to contrast. Let's say we want to add like a nice little overlock. Let's do this overlock. Let's say we want to add this to the waistband. So we can draw it in one go like this, or we have the drawing assist line on, just tap it and just select drawing assist. So now we draw it over here. It'll match on that side. Maybe you don't want that little meeting shape, that little meeting area. You can just easily go back, turn off the drawing assist. You could start it right at the edge, but sometimes it messes up. So it's cool to start outside and then you can go back later and then just erase the excess. Yeah, something like that. Go back, erase the outside, go to our select, go to warp. We can pull this guy up a little bit. Pull it down over here. Let's try our best. Yeah, you get the idea. Go back to brushes. Maybe we want a nice little chain stitch. Maybe we want a chain stitch on the wrist cuff. Add that there. And add that there. And you can hold it, make the straight line, do it like that. That's pretty much stitches. Whatever stitch you want, draw it wherever you want. If you want to make a straight line, just click, hold, don't let go of it yet, it'll make the straight line. Next is zippers. So we'll do some zipper teeth. I like these. Add a new layer. So draw it. So hold. Make the straight line, bring it right there as best you can. Get the eraser, stop it right there. Duplicate, make the bottom layer black. And if you really want to, you can displace it a bit. Up close, might look kind of weird. Far away, it just works. It mixes in with everything. You could do that if you want, whether you displace it or not. I like to do it a little bit, just adds a little bit of shadow or depth to the zipper. And that's kind of it, just for the zipper teeth. Pinch them, combine them together, and now let's do the zipper pulley. All right, so let's do this guy. So let's stamp our zipper. That's fine. Duplicate it, make the bottom layer black. Pinch those together and put it on top. Now you can still see it's a bit transparent. You can't really do solid brushes unless it's like solid white, but to have like depth like this, you'd have to probably get a PNG and import it. Or as you're doing this, you can just keep layering the black and the whites. So we have the black and the white there. I can just duplicate this again, duplicate the black, duplicate the white, just combine them. You don't have to do anything else. Drag it on top, maybe a little bit bigger. I can actually center that zipper a bit more. Right there. Get the pulley, click the select tool, drag it up here. Maybe you want it to be a little darker. We can go to curves and just darken it a little bit. That's more or less how to do the zippers, how to do the zipper teeth and the zipper pulleys. And I do recommend watching tutorials on how to use all of these settings for like noise, sharpen, bloom, glitch, gradient map, Gaussian blur. You may not need all of these, but Gaussian blur you use a lot and curves you use pretty frequently as well. So if you have any questions on how to use these brushes, or if you're facing an obstacle or a problem, send me an email at info@sleeks.com, or you can go to my website and fill out the contact form, and I'll do my best to get to you as fast as possible. Thanks for watching.